Hey, what's up guys? Waltz How Tuesday and Reviews. Today I'm going to be covering golf shoes. So I have 10 different pair here. In the front are all the shoes that are spiked. If you don't know about golf shoes, they have spiked, which basically has these removable spikes right here, and they have spikeless, which basically looks like a regular shoe, but there is some traction on the bottom to give you some gripping. So they kind of are cleats in a way, but they call them spiked versus spikeless. And the front 5 all are spiked, the back 5 are spikeless. And what you may have already noticed is these two look dirty and used. That's because they are. These are about 4 years old, these are about 2 years old. These might even be 5 or 6 years old, but judge them a little bit differently, especially on appearance, because they are used and I've used these in the past. So I wanted to make this video because I wanted to do some research for myself, and I figured I can educate others. I know shopping online is becoming a lot more popular, but it's not that easy, especially because you see a different photo with different lighting and you don't know, hey, what would that look like on the same foot, same lighting, with the same pair of pants, that sort of thing. So hopefully this will give you more of an apples to apples comparison. I'm going to give a brief description, tell you what I think of each shoe, and hopefully if you're considering buying one of these online, it can help you make a decision. A couple things to keep in mind when making a decision, just my own biases. You know, one thing is my foot is pretty narrow relative to the general population. I'd say it's more narrow than the average foot. What's unique about golf shoes is a lot of times they'll actually make a wide golf shoe because it's a performance shoe, so they're trying to make it really fit. So a lot of different manufacturers will offer, you know, size 10 regular, size 10 wide. The arch of my foot is normal. Another thing is I've only used 3 golf shoes in my life: FootJoy, Puma, and these Nikes here. I didn't include these Nikes because they're an older model you can't buy anymore. Plus 11's a weird number. I thought 10 would be better, but I definitely felt like I had better traction with the spike shoes, and I'm really competitive by nature, especially with my buddies. So the way I think about it, even if it's, you know, one drive over a whole year, if my foot slips out and it messes up that one drive, that's one too many for me. So just my personality type, I tend to favor spike shoes over spikeless shoes, purely just because I'm competitive and want to beat my friends at golf. Which leads into my next point. I wanted to go over cons of the spiked versus spikeless shoes. You know, performance, these are going to be more performance based, the spike shoes. They're more traction, and another thing is they're more durable. And what I mean by that is these spikes, which is the first thing that hits the ground, are actually replaceable. So after you wear out the bottoms, you can actually unscrew these and snap new ones in, which is essentially, at least in a certain amount of spots depending on the shoe, giving you brand new traction, brand new parts on the bottom of your shoe, which obviously you can't do. This is like a traditional shoe, it just has a different kind of pattern on the bottom that's supposed to grip grass a little bit better than a typical shoe, but to me that's a huge advantage. Now on the flip side of that, one of the pros of these shoes is they're generally a lot more comfortable. Performance isn't the top priority, so you sacrifice a little bit of comfort with these tending to be a little bit more stiff, where these guys tend to be a little bit more comfortable. Not always, but on average. They're also a little bit more versatile. If you're gonna bring a spike shoe to golf, you're gonna have to bring another shoe with you that you wear on the way there, especially if you got something to do afterwards, like a barbecue or go to the grocery store. You don't want to be wearing these through the grocery store. So little inconvenience, you get there, gotta swap out shoes, play golf, and swap back. Whereas these kind of shoes, you could definitely wear them to the grocery store. You don't have that inconvenience. So I did my research, I made this spreadsheet. The link to it is in the description. You can take a look at it if you want, especially if you don't want to listen to me ramble in the video and you don't really care that much about appearance. But you can organize them in what I thought was the most comfortable shoe to least comfortable shoe by going up to the top here, hovering over the cell, clicking that arrow button, and then say organize it A to Z. You can do that for any of the categories. Right now they're just organized spiked versus spikeless. So really for the rest of the video, I just wanted to let you see from an appearance factor what these look like in sunlight on the grass versus in incandescent light inside, all from the same angle, with shorts or without shorts. At least for me, I always want to know, what do the shoes look like when I have pants on versus when I have shorts on? And while we're taking a look at each one, I'm going to just tell you some little things about the shoe, you know, maybe what's different or unique about it, which you can also find in the notes section of that spreadsheet. If I put it in quotation marks, that's just a product description straight from the manufacturer that I copied and pasted online. If it's not in quotation marks, that's just my opinion and what I thought of the shoe. I'll probably say a couple extra things when I'm actually going over them, talking about them, that might not be in there, but the important stuff is in the spreadsheet. Again, if you don't want to bore yourself watching this video and go straight to there or something. Gathering all these shoes, trying them all on, and just making this video takes a lot of time. If you appreciate that and like it, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more of this kind of stuff, subscribe or let me know in the comments. And I appreciate you watching. So like I said, we're going to go over each shoe. Some quick things that I thought you might be interested in right off the bat is these shoes right here were by far the most comfortable out of all of these. And what was most surprising to me is these are the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn. I was not expecting that from a golf shoe, and that just blew me away, and I just wanted to mention that right off the bat in case you don't watch the rest of this video. If I was going for performance, like if I was a pro golfer, my intuition and judgment tells me that these Under Armour, I think these are the Spieths too, are probably going to provide the best performance. You know, they're not a bad looking shoe, but they don't have that, you know, cool factor in my opinion. They just look like what a professional golfer would wear. They're a little bit stiff, but that's kind of what you want in a performance shoe. And just the overall feel and how they fit my foot, I just feel like they would be really good. When it comes to the best overall value or what I would feel comfortable recommending to somebody would be these guys right here. They're definitely the cheapest of the bunch and by a considerable amount, so that plays a big part of it. They weren't the best at any one category, but overall they did well in every category. I saw on Amazon it said bestseller. It's not surprising at all. If I had to recommend a shoe, I feel like if I'd recommend this, people would be most happy. I don't think they're flashy, you know, they're pretty plain Jane, just look like a sneaker, so they're safe in that sense of appearance, versus if I told them to go out and get something weird like this where the laces are on the side, they might be like, that's just strange and weird that you recommend that shoe. Not that these are a bad shoe, they're just a little bit outside of the norm. And when it comes to best looking shoe, that was extremely difficult. But for the spikeless, I think these are the best looking shoe. And for the spiked, I think these are the best looking shoe. Keep in mind, these are 2 years old. They lost their luster and shine, but when they were new, they looked nice. I never got compliments on my golf shoes before. Like I said, I've only worn 3, but I literally, especially when these were new, almost every time I went golfing, someone would say something about my shoes. The reason I picked these, again, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but for me, I just felt like they did a really good job of keeping a traditional golf shoe, but also having a little bit of style in there. For instance, you know, they're pretty much white leather, but just kind of how it faded from white to black in the sole there. I like, you know, the blue and the white. It's a little orange highlight. It just came together really nice. I think it's just a good looking shoe. Again, that's just my opinion. But let's take a look at each shoe and I'll tell you a little bit about them. This is an Adidas shoe, size 9's $100. You don't really tell it's Adidas because you don't see those traditional 3 lines. The laces are off to the side. I thought it was a really cool splash of paint pattern, almost camo look on the bottom. And what was interesting is they're very comfortable. They kind of have an inside and outside shell, so they gave comfort but stability at the same time. This is a Puma shoe. It's a BOA, but they call it disc closure system. I thought it would be cool, nice idea. They are comfortable, but when you tighten them, the top gets way tighter than the bottom of the laces, which is why I kind of X'd them out. And it was kind of uncomfortable for me. The tongue is like a foamy material and it kind of squinches up. Just didn't like them. Here are the most comfortable shoe I've ever worn, the FootJoys. Not a lot of stability, better traction than I thought with the spikeless. The FootJoys were definitely the best, and I like the appearance. It's kind of like a slipper in a way. The laces are really loose, just super comfortable, but maybe not the best when it comes to performance. Here's the ECCO shoes. I already mentioned I thought they were the best looking spikeless shoe. Right when I put them on, I could feel more arch support than the other shoes, which was interesting. I didn't like the high price tag that came with them. You're talking over $150 depending on what size you are. Another thing I didn't like is I felt like the soles were a bit thicker than the rest of the shoes, making it feel a little less stable, like I'm on a platform. Here's some FootJoys. Pretty basic shoe, nothing special. Those lines are actually textile, you can feel them. I would say for spikeless shoe, this is the best overall. And what I'd recommend if you want spikeless, they're a little pricey at about $110 depending on your size, but they're comfortable, sturdy, water resistant, and definitely the best grip for the spikeless. Alright, these Adidas were the weirdest shoe. They had the best grip for the cleats, but the knit material made them not sturdy but comfortable. The elastic band and heel support did add more sturdiness than I would have thought just by looking at them. Even the laces design was different and weird on these shoes. I did kind of feel like I was on a platform, and there's this weird like arch thing in the middle, as you can see, that does give you a little pep or bounce in your step. From my actual real world experience, I can confidently say these shoes are extremely durable. Now, they're not, in my opinion, the best looking shoe, and they're not the most comfortable shoe, but without a doubt, 100%, they stand the test of time and are really durable. I bought these Pumas back in May of 2018, and I think they still look great, which shows how good they are at resisting dirt and water. Great sturdiness, good grip, very comfortable. The only thing I didn't like about them was they were a little expensive, and they've come down in price since then. There is a second version where I don't like the appearance as much that still is expensive, and other than my FootJoys, I can't tell you if this would happen with the other shoes, but as you can see here, I thought I could just replace some spikes that had fallen out. To my amazement, it wasn't just the spike, it was the mechanism that hold the screw-in part that you can see there. So now these shoes are no longer usable, so I can say they're not that durable, and is why I don't recommend them or I'm buying them again. If you like the way these Adidas look and water resistance isn't a must-have for you, I would say you should definitely buy these shoes. Those are the only two things that are holding me back. Don't get me wrong, they're a lot better looking than the original FootJoys I had, but they're just not my style, and I really like that water resistance feature. I was considering keeping these Under Armour Spieth 2 shoes, but I couldn't justify spending $200 on them. Maybe if I thought they were the coolest thing ever and just loved the appearance, but they didn't do that for me, and I'm not saying they're a bad shoe, I'm just saying I couldn't justify spending the money. Now, they were the most sturdy shoe, but at the same time they sacrificed some comfort. The cleats were second best. They had an interesting style where you can see these 5 cleats here are your traditional style, but then the 2 on the inside heel and outside toe were more of a disc shape. It's kind of interesting, and it did work really well. The only shoe that was just a smidge better were those knit Adidas, which I really didn't like anyway. So I didn't find the shoe that I actually wanted to use moving forward. I'm going to try out another round and only of the spiked type shoes. If there's one in particular you'd like me to try out, let me know in the comments. I really appreciate you guys watching. See you next time.